All right, coming to you live from Dell, Round Rock number 2. We're in the office. This is the second day in the office for me in 2.5 years. And I've got someone here whose first day here in the office. This is Tim Banks. Tim, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. I'm finding my way around. I've explored and got lost a little bit.
Yeah, I got lost with you, yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, I did pretty good for my first day ever here at the office, finding our way back from the other building. So.
And so this is first in the office, but you've been here many days so far, right?
Three,
exactly. And so what did you come in to do, and what's your background?
So I'll start with my background. I come from about a quarter century in this field, starting off out of the Marine Corps at this little computer company called Gateway.
Oh, yeah.
Which I'm waiting for.
Was that the cows?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm waiting for security to come get me for mentioning them. But,
yes.
But I started off at Gateway, and then, going through the industry as working for tech support help desk, then moving into systems administration, systems, operations, stuff like that, system architecture, getting, deep in databases, getting deep in web servers, and getting deep in, web-facing applications. I went to work for web hosts, et cetera, et cetera. The system administration functions I was doing became renamed as operations and platform engineering. I went into more DevOps focused disciplines. My last frontline engineering role was senior SRE with Elastic.
Oh, cool.
From there, I embraced the cloud native computing I had done over the past few years, and went to work for AWS.
I've heard of them.
As a TAM, which was my first foray into more consulting.
TAM, I think of the total addressable market. What's TAM?
It is technical account manager.
Oh, okay, got it.
Which was my first foray into more of customer-facing advisory roles, but I've always been very, very intentionally aware of what customer needs and expectations were. And then moved into solutions architecture, so forth and so on, until my last role was a principal cloud economist at DevRel, and then I ended up miraculously here at Dell.
So you've done these jobs, but you haven't been sort of keeping it all in, right? You've been out in the community, which is why we're bringing you in.
Yeah, I've been working, like I said, working with a cloud, in cloud computing probably from its kind of public advent, kicking the tires on Azure when it was something you installed locally, using AWS when it had like 3 services, and then moving into full production usage of that, using Docker for stateful workloads with persistent storage, long before it was cool, when people said you couldn't do it.
I knew these guys when they were displaying bars.
Yeah, I had a t-shirt. But kind of, kicking the tires on that and using these things that we kind of take for granted as production platforms before they were production platforms, and the work on that. And as part of that community, I'm able to kind of leverage that and still kind of keeping my eyes on the prize as being an old school like Linux kid, an old school freeware kid. Back then it was called freeware, before it was called open source, where you worked for the good of the order more so than just lucrative. And then
free as in freedom, not free as in beer.
No, it was both.
Okay.
It's free and
we're freeware, right? Yes. Sorry.
And so keeping that kind of mentality as like, yeah, you can use it, but you want to leave it better than you found it. I still think is the core ethos of open source, and then to a large extent cloud native communities as well. So bringing that into a company that would typically focus on the enterprise, that's been around for a while, I think is kind of a cool next step that I don't think anyone would, including me, would have predicted even 6 months ago.
Yeah, we're going to get back to that in a second. I was going to say first, your role is we have a DevRel team now, which was me as an internal guy focusing on the community. You now are the lead technical lead developer advocate.
Yes.
Okay. So what is your role doing that? What are you going to be doing?
So I'm going to be Dell's liaison to the cloud native and open source communities, and the cloud native and open source communities liaison to Dell.
Right. But also from you've got the technical chops that you'll be talking, as opposed to, say, myself, who talks to these folks, but not as much in the...
Yeah, I'm leading this from the standpoint of having been where they've been.
Right.
I know the plight of the engineer because I was that engineer. But also being able to understand and have context for their concerns, for their hopes, for the things they want their products to do, whatever it is, right? The whatever technology is they're going to base production on, right? The things they needed to do, the things they would like it to do, right? And understand that by talking to them and then taking that back to Dell, and also being able to influence product and open source contributions and things like that, strategy and goals from Dell to meet those needs, and then take them back and say, hey, this is what we've done. I think it's kind of cool. Kick the tires on it. Try it out. Let me know what you think.
Very cool. So then back to what you said, teed up before. Why Dell, right? You said it was in a move people probably didn't expect.
No, I wouldn't.
Why? It was me, right? You knew I was here, and that's the reason why you joined.
That's it.
Yeah, exactly. So the second reason then was?
Well, so it was funny. So I announced I was looking for roles, and I had one of my followers reach out to me on Twitter, and it's like, look, I know, I'm going to tell you that we're hiring, but just follow me on this. Talk to this guy.
Don't hang up yet on the.
Yeah, it's from Dell. So I talked to Brad, and I talked to you, and I talked to other couples of the team, including Caitlin, and they were telling me a lot, and I did a lot of interviewing of Dell as part of this interview process because Dell makes laptops, man. They do servers. They made printers.
Monitors. We make monitors
well,
too.
monitors are right, but everyone can freely admit now that printers are garbage, right? But so that was Dell. I'm like, what are you doing in this space? Like, why are you here? And that was a question that I asked, and I got really good answers, right? And saying we want to do this, we need the right people here because this is something we believe. We believe that the cloud native community and open source community is the future of Dell, especially as far as our innovations, the things that, yes, we want to make money off of, but also that we can contribute back to these communities. And talking to you, talking to Brad, talking to other folks on the team, I got a lot of the concerns I had. I've worked for some of the major players in the industry. I've worked with other FANG companies. I have had, just wallpaper over the ethical concerns with money, and I didn't have that to that extent here. Also, like, I can work remote, even though I can see the office from my bedroom window. Like, Dell is a hometown company for me. I live 5 minutes from the home offices here, but so I've been very familiar with the company, with the work company, who've worked for the company on various projects, and this is something that's very net new from everything. It's been my experience when first here, ordering Dells from catalogs, 25 years ago, back in the late 1900s.
Yes. Oh my God.
So yeah, why Dell was the question that I asked during the interview process, and I got some good answers.
Cool. And I think that's one thing I'm very excited about as we build this team, that we have the understanding that, yeah, it's great to have people internal that you bring in, but we really do need external people. So you're the first, but you won't be the last. We've got a few more, one starting soon, more coming the way. So I'd just like to say, Tim Banks, welcome to Dell. We're really excited to have you.
Thanks, Martin. I appreciate it.
All righty.